Hello. Hey. Welcome. Hey, Cliff. Good to see you, man. Things are less hectic this week. Yeah, man. I can imagine that showing up to watch a live stream in the background while things are kind of hectic and crazy is a challenging thing. But yeah. Anyway, when you can make it, I really enjoy having you around, man. Yeah, the live streams have been a good thing. Yeah, I think someone put it to me where it's like having someone else in the room with you, which is like something that makes a big difference. So like some people can just like work on their own like all the time, like no one there, and be like totally productive and fine. And some people need that like environment of like having people around essentially. So coworkers, an office setting or something like that. So yeah, in a funny way, I think streaming's kind of like having people around for me. People in the chat and people to talk to and like follow along and stuff. Even though they're not like right physically there, I think I get like most of what I'd get if people are like right here with me, like actually like in the room speaking to me or whatever. So anyway, psychologically, it's really good for me, and I hope at the very least it's entertaining for the people watching. So yeah, thanks for coming along, man. Glad to hear things are less hectic over there. So yeah, it's good stuff. Anyway, let's get on with the show, shall we? So start up in a month two, technically month three now, day 20. Yeah, let's take a look cal- at the calendar. Yeah, technically I've got these like 3 days at the end of March, but I'm saying March 26th is when I'm gonna get this out. Maybe I'll cheat a little bit and release it on Sunday so I can still say I got it done in this week. But yeah, I'm shooting to have this be the last week at actually working on Pic Story. So Pic Story, if you're new, is this. I'll just put this in the chat so people can check it out if they like. Yeah, essentially this is like a platform for making picture stories and sharing them with people. So I don't think I really have a good example up right now, but it's essentially like taking photos, changing the style of photos to be, kind of a creative presentation of whatever it is. Like, you went traveling or something, or you had a big project that you want to show to people, and you want to not only share pictures and a little bit of color commentary, but also like kind of present it in a unique and creative way. That's the idea for the startup basically. So we're working on that. I've been working on that for the past couple months, and yeah, we're getting pretty close. This is kind of like in the ugly baby stage, not minimize, of what we're doing here. This is even running right now. Yeah, here we go. Story builder. So yeah, I mean, for the longest time, I've just had this thing as like a collection of buttons on a page because yeah, this is like kind of an arguable point to make, but basically like what I've been working on is like the functionality of the thing as opposed to the look and feel of the thing necessarily. So I've just got a bunch of like global state controlling this stuff, and like technically all these things will exist in different panels and pages and things that you can like maximize and minimize, show and hide. Basically, what we've got is just like the buttons that control that functionality, and I think either in the middle or like possibly the later part of this week, I'm gonna start like actually putting these things in their like final homes. So like not just kind of like sitting on the front page like this, but a little closer to what the final product is gonna be. So anyway, it's definitely like the ugly baby stage where I'm in the middle of it and nothing really looks like what I imagined it to be, and it's just like kind of all over the place and like working, but not like looking good while it's working at the same time. So anyway, that's where we are. And yeah, whatever we get done by the end of the week will be what we get done. And yeah, we will have not ended the week with nothing, which is the next thing I want to get onto. Read a really good piece by this guy. Patrick Kazumias. Might have totally like botched that pronunciation, but yeah, this is like just general thoughts about like working in public, and having something to like show for your work, having your work be this like high visibility thing, which is definitely what we're doing in the form of live streaming. So there's some interesting thoughts in there in terms of like working in public, working in high visibility things, working in open source, things like that. But one thing I really enjoyed was this thought towards the bottom, and that was the following. Let me see. Rolling up your sleeves and actually shipping something is much, much more valuable than, you know, taking the time to like learn how to do something parenthetically. If you take no over advice from me ever, ship something. You learn more shipping a failure than you'll learn from reading about 1,000 successes, and you stand an excellent chance of shipping a success. People greatly overestimate how difficult this is. So I thought that was a really nice idea to kind of like guide me through the rest of my week here. I think my goal should be to ship something, and even if it doesn't really like match up to my expectations of what I thought it would be when I was imagining it in my mind, I'll learn a lot from just shipping it, and yeah, I'll be able to carry those lessons into like subsequent startups, and yeah, even if I kind of think in my mind that like this thing is not going to work, it's not going to do everything, it's going to go out into the internet and flop and people will hate it, you actually have like a better chance of like succeeding in a given venture than you think you do. Yeah, achieving something, putting something out there that works and people will be interested in. I really identify with the idea that you overestimate how difficult this thing is, because yeah, sometimes you can put out something that's totally ridiculous. I don't think I've talked about this on the stream, but I've been trying to wrap my mind around something this guy's done. Dracula Pro. Like this, if you want to have your mind blown, check this out. So this is like a very popular like code editor theme, Dracula Pro. I remember when I was just starting to learn how to program, this was like one of the things you'd see very frequently on a lot of like if you go into GitHub and you look for a list of like themes for your code editor, this one would like appear quite often. And this year, I think this month, last month maybe, this guy decided to turn it into a like a product, like something you buy, and he's made like $115,000 off of this thing so far, which just utterly blows my mind. It's a color scheme and a UI theme, and like if you want to talk about like people overestimating how difficult success is, I mean, like, look at this guy. Like, would you imagine just like sitting here with like the knowledge you have and the ideas you have about like what can make money, what is a successful product, what is not a successful product, like sitting here with like your ideas of like what's possible in the world, like the idea that a code theme, like a code editor theme, could make someone $100,000, over $100,000, like that just absolutely blows my mind. So yeah, I find it perplexing, and I also find it very motivating. Oh, hold up. Dracula Pro theme. And counting. So anyway, that's the mantra for today. That's the mantra for this week. Don't end the month with nothing. So anyway, start most of these streams with a 30-minute code warm-up, and what I want to do today is to get a ball bouncing around an SVG screen. And right now all you see is like a frying pan emoji, so that's just like the state of the code. Just to like get something like up and working in the browser. What I'm going to be doing with this is I'm going to be using something called O'Doyle Rules, which is just a fantastic reference to what is that, like Billy Madison, something like that Adam Sandler movie. But anyway, this is something called a rules engine, which I guess is something that was kind of in vogue in the 70s and 80s in the programming world, where you express the logic of your program is a series of rules with like conditions and things that happen when those conditions are met, or like variables that like a certain part of your app depends on, and things that are supposed to like fire and run when those variables change. Sounds like a very in line with like how React thinks about UI, because if you want to take that word rules and change it into like state or props or something, that's like the whole idea behind React. But yeah, this thing is like presented in a really crazy way. And yeah, I think I watched this talk like a month ago, and I've just been like so intrigued with this library since. So I really want to find a way to use it. Um, if you would like to watch this talk, the talk I'm referencing, this is the link. It'll be in the show notes as well, which I will upload after the stream is finished. So there's the talk and there's the reference to the library. And yeah, I've got the thing like running in the background already, and it's rendering an emoji. Just doing a lot of really hard work for us right now. And eventually, what I want to do. Yeah, actually, how about we send this frying pan emoji? Yeah, we're not going to do a colored ball. We're going to send this emoji bouncing around the screen. So yeah, I've tried to use this like once and had a little bit of difficulty with it, but I think I know more about it now and I understand it better now, so I think I might be able to get this to do something within the 30-minute code warm-up, but it might just be like totally crazy and I just fumble through and get nothing but error messages and crashed apps, so no promises as to like actually getting anything to work. But if I don't try, I'm never gonna learn. Yeah, so let's get started, right? I bet we send this back over to the other desktop. All this stuff I have shown you already, except for that. We'll skip that, but this is a really good article as well. And I'll send that back over here too, and we'll get started, shall we? So, 30 minutes. Clock's running. Ticking sound effect. Here we go. Here we go. All right. So, how does this work? Well, let me show you. What we have is a set of rules. This is not going to probably bring you closer to understanding this thing, but I just put a bunch of like placeholder stuff in here for now. So what you do is you define rules where if any of these things change, like if this thing changes, then this code runs. So that's the basis for the rules. And then we've got some special code to make this possible to do in a React context, which is ORUM, rum. So rum is like, if you know Clojure script, I've been using like reagent for my components. Rum is another like wrapper around the React API. So this is just a different take on using reagent in Clojure script, and this library offers you a way to like kind of connect the Adoil API to the React API and get components to work. So anyway, right now I've got 3 components: the app root, an SVG ball, which is actually that frying pan emoji, and the SVG element, which is rendering the SVG ball. All right. And then what you have is a session. So a session is like the state of your app. You can think of this as like the if you're using Redux, or from a Clojure script perspective of things, if you're using Reframe, this is like the database or the store of your app state. So this is the global thing that gets updated when rules fire and change. So those are the 3 things. A set of rules with definitions of like what the rule pertains to and what happens when something changes from the React side of things. A set of components, which are also written in the fashion of rules, and the session where all the state lives. So, that being said, let's get into it. So I think the first thing I want to do is I want to make this bigger. Height 300, width 300. Okay, we've already crashed the app. Invariant violation. You know what? I have to put that inside this map. Of course. Okay, cool. So now we've got a bigger SVG. I think it could be bigger still. Cool. Now I think I want a view box for my SVG. Okay, height, width, view box. 0, 0, 100, 100. Yeah, sure. Let's do the normal view box stuff. Okay, so I think that's probably the default view box we had before, but now we have it coded in explicitly, so that's good. And then we've got our SVG frying pan. Cool. Okay. So that's going to be a text element, and I think I need to review the text element. Okay, x coordinate, y coordinate, we got that. Text length. It'd be cool if we could have this in a box, like a text inside in a rect. Yeah, maybe we'll just do that. First things first, can I do that same reagent style fragment? I cannot. Fragment rum. Fragment. React fragment. Rum fragment. Okay. Different syntax, but same idea. Also, not square braces, but normal function call. Ah, jeez. Yeah, I ran into this a lot the first time I was trying to do this, when I was trying to work with it over the weekend. This, like, wrong arity thing. I think the best I've got is, like, stopping and restarting. I don't know where that's really coming from. I think it might be coming from the example repo. I like kind of copied and pasted to like get started with this thing. No such far. Rum fragment. Ah, okay. That might have been the problem. ORum fragment. It may be due to the fact that it's like I don't want to call it a new fragment. No such far. ORum fragment. Well, maybe I don't need to be yet. Text element wrapped in a box anyway. Maybe I can just stick with what I had. So we're working with experimental technology. If you're gonna live on the edge. No such far. C insert all to dos. Okay, so this is code from before that I did not insert all. C slash maybe better to start from the scratch and like kind of build up. Got this to do repo. It's appealing for a beginner because it has a lot of that stuff just kind of figured out for you already. Although sometimes yeah, you know what, if I want to use this library for real, I think I need to Doyle room to do core. I think I need to figure out how to debug these Error messages, right? Okay, so I saw that error message a bunch last week, and I didn't know how to solve it. Start CLJS. Wrong number of arg0 passed to Adoyo rum to do core. Can we figure out what function made that happen? Build def C, reactive, build CTOR. Okay, so there's a bunch of internal stuff. Core CLJC 57. Okay, so maybe I don't have a session yet. I'm trying to pass a session to a component. CLJC 127 core CLJ. Nah, that must be internal to the library. That may not be my code that the error's coming from anyway. But it does look like the backend error. So let's just calmly read start CLJ and see if we can figure out what's going on. Alright, run server, handler function that has to do with the URL, rep resources, session content type, and gzip. This is not related to Adoyle. Post all to-dos. Insert all to-dos, initial session. Yeah, maybe if I take this. Just insert like a fake to do. All right, so maybe that'll do something. And so I deleted that before, maybe we actually need it. And that's pretty much it for okay, so HTTP error. Let's try to run this one more time. All right, we're running. Hey, what's going on? Ronnie James Dio. Back for more streams. Good to see you, man. Caught me in the middle of my warm-up. You know what? HTTP error 500. So yeah, definitely a backend thing, right? Definitely a backend thing. wrong number of args passed to the core function. Don't think it came from that file. Don't really want that anymore. And the default request not found. So we can start the server fine. We get this print line message. And then this function called page that comes from somewhere, which is this. This binding causes the new matches triggered by to be stored locally so they don't affect other users that happen to be requesting this route at the same time. So there are 8 to-dos in the user's ring session. Insert them into the session. We're only doing this for side effects under the HTML. Save the to-dos in a hidden div. Well, maybe the problem was that. Could have been, right? Oh, we might bring ourselves closer, at the very least, discover a new error message. Okay, those 2 frying pan emojis mean that our do thing rule ran. Those print lines come from here. But we still get an error. You've requested the root routes. You passed the wrong number of args to the function rendered at the root route. Start CLJ. The problem is still here. Page, initial states. Well, let's start. Delete more possibly problematic code. Okay. As far as I can see, this is all that we really need for our purposes, right? There's some cool stuff going on. Body, page, we will not pass a request to you. So maybe taking all that session stuff out will do the trick. Why do you have a squiggle? Replace is called with 2 args, but expects 3. Alright. Not the Google result I wanted. Doyle. Let's see. We're basing our code off of this. It's the result that Dio wanted to see. Start CLJ. String replace. What are we string replacing with? It was this part. Yeah, there we go. Right, so I think that's it. Template HTML, I know research source slurp. The blues go with the blues. The whites go with the whites. And now our function's good. Okay, so we've got this page function stripped down to the absolute bare minimum of what we actually need to do this. So now, even though I don't think this will necessarily work, we will restart the server and give it another shot. Let's go, here we go, here we go. Alright. 4,000, what you got for me? New error message? Unfortunately not. Okay. At least we know that was not the problem. So what is the problem? We get the error from O'Doyle. What kind of O'Doyle specific code do we have here? Just learned how juxt works. Yeah, this is sweet, right? Juxt takes a set of functions and returns a function that is the juxtaposition of those two functions. Yeah, so you like run one function on the same, or multiple functions on the same value, and then you get the result of those multiple functions in a nice little vector. So yeah, it's really cool. Really cool way to like define a route handler, right? Like juxtapose the request method and the URI. So if that request method was get and the URI was root, give us the root page, right? It's pretty sweet. Yeah, I really like this. It's probably the most like actionable idea I've gotten from this code. Start. Okay, I don't think there's anything in here that could be causing us problems right now, so let's start to look elsewhere. Wrong number of arg0 passed to O'Doyle run to do core. That's interesting because we don't have a function called core anywhere so far as I can see. O'Doyle run to do core. Okay, so that's the name of the namespace. It's not the name of the function. So some function here is not getting what it needs. Start here. Query all session. Def1 session, Atom initial session. What is the initial session? Initial session is this. It's the reduction of adding a rule to the session. The concatenation of the rules and components. That's all good. We insert a couple of starter rules and then we fire. So this I think is okay. And I think it is also a telling detail that we get this error not when we start the code up like in its unedited form and then change it, but we get it when the code reloads or when we refresh the page. So yeah, something about this is not working. So I wonder if we just comment that out. Does that change anything? Eat what you kill, not Java. There's something to look up look up later. Okay, so it's not that. Was it this? O session rules and components. The session is an add-in consisting of the initial session when When the file runs or reloads, we swap the session with the result of calling this function. Query all session. It might be the case that this is not defined just yet. Start core CLJC. Okay, here's what this file used to look like. That is unchanged. Oh, insert global. Oh, maybe I'm not, maybe that's it. Maybe I'm trying to, like, reference this, like, global namespace such as this in this library. I'm not really sure what you'd, oh, insert. Not really sure what you'd call this in the context of this library. Okay. So, even though we're not using any of this, I think I'll leave it in there. Insert into the global scope the following rules. Does that bring us closer? No, it does not. Alright, back to the code. Insert the initial rules. Concat rules and components. Fire the rules. Oh, isodoil rules. Okay. So that, as far as I can see, is that. Nothing different. Okay. Rum core is rum. When did we ever use rum in this file? Oh, rum rule sets. Oh, rum prop. Rum with key. We used it once, but the code that we had has been deleted. What's my current outcome? I don't think I have a current. Yeah, I'm not sure I have a current outcome to speak of right now. Yeah, I'm just trying to get this thing to work, really. Core CLJC. Man, I don't think I can make it simpler than this. Screen. Yes, I don't think this makes a difference, but maybe if I put the components like in order, like SVG frying pan is required by SVG element, which is required by AppRoot. Don't think that matters, but you know, that could be something jacking us up right now. Here we go. Yep, maybe another afternoon of slogging through error messages, but at least I'm learning how to work with this thing. I'd really like to use it in some of the startups, honestly, because I think even at the small scale that Pic Story is at, I am already running into problems with state, the organization of state, and I think that this could be a really interesting, novel way to deal with state in a React application. Oh, but I just want to, like, write unique code and not have it crash this thing straight away. Oh, I don't know where I'll go to solve my problems. Closure link arity exception. Let's read this carefully just one more time. 0 args passed to some function in our core module, which is what we're looking at right now, and a unhelpful line number which has come to us via a lot of complicated code and stack tracing and things which are like not immediately at hand or apparent to us, which is making this tricky. Apply to helper, apply to invoke static, invoke, render. Having an anonymous function? Maybe. Honestly, I'm still pretty new to Clojure. Definitely new to error handling in Clojure. And I think this language is generally notorious in terms of having hard to understand error messages, especially because we're like kind of working in between like three languages right now, like Java, JavaScript, and Clojure itself, which is sitting on top of this. So I don't really know even how to read this. Here's a bunch of RUM stuff. So at some level, RUM has a component that doesn't know how to render. Start page invoke. Page.invoke. Start CLJ20. Template.html IO resource / slurp. Resources template. Ooh, maybe there's something here. Content initial state. And I can have an initial state. Alright, I don't know what the point of that was, but maybe. Ah, damn it. Ah, man. Dashed once again. Hopes and dreams dashed. Replace the content. I don't think that made a difference. I don't think I'm doing anything with the initial state of this thing right now. Just try restarting this like one more time just to see if like I possibly got a different error message, but I might not have. Probably didn't. Yay, friends! Yeah, man. My good friend Cliff is here from my previous job, or at least he was. Oh, hello! Kevin, Coding and Coffee, of Coding and Coffee fame. Welcome, welcome. I'm guessing I just got raided. Welcome to Kevin's viewers. He's a good guy. You should watch his channel more. Ugh. Well, there goes my war obsession. Just a bunch of errors and no closer to actually doing anything with this. But man, my head is so wrapped around what this library is and could be that I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep working on it. Okay. So let's get that closed, and let's get back to building my thing. So, for those of us who have may just joined us, let me tell you what I'm working on. I'm working on this. Gratzfather. Can you reproduce just evaluating one form? I should probably get to that point, right? Like, what I was working on was to do. Thank you, phone. I don't need that. Odoil to do. What I was working on was the basis of like this example repo. And I think there's a bunch of code in there which is kind of goofing me up in terms of like, you know, deleting things and like starting from my own basis. So I might take another look at this and see if I can, just kind of, yeah, start from like a cleaner, simpler basis, and then I'll have like an easier time, you know, debugging, as opposed to starting from this like relatively simple but still like pretty involved and unconventional library of code, which is proving difficult for me to wrap my head around and, you know, change in a productive way. But anyway, we'll address that in tomorrow's warm-up anyway. Let's see. from the stack trace, find the first line that is your own code and go from there. Yeah, a lot of stuff going on. Yeah. But I've been trying to look at the stack. Yeah. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see if I make it further there. But yeah, I appreciate the appreciate the thoughts for sure. It's very easy to like get kind of wrapped up in your head and lose sight of what you're trying to do when you're debugging. But anyway, we're working on the actual startup product right now. So anyway, where are we? Yeah, if you were here last time, I know Dio was here last time. Last time I was working on this rather pernicious, like a read it like routing thing. What I was trying to do is essentially create a route that would allow me to know if I am like working on a new story or if I'm editing an existing story. Because so far as the database is concerned, it's going to be important when I like click this save story button to know like whether I'm like creating a brand new story for like for a user that they're making a new story and they want to create a new entity, or whether I'm like creating an updated version of something that already exists in the database. So to get there, I thought a good way would be to have like a story builder route. So if you look here, picstory.studio/story builder. So when we're on the new route, I will know that by the time it comes to click this button, I should be creating a new story. But when we are on edit slash story name, when we're on that route and we click save, I will know that I need to go into the database, find something that's existing already, and overwrite that. Yep. So that's where we're going. Had some trouble doing this last time, but I got it working earlier today. We've got like various little bits and pieces of what we need to do to actually achieve what we're setting out to do. Will we be able to do it? I don't know, but let's find out. Okay. So I think a good basis to start from is new, the new route. That's the functionality that I've kind of got built out, and which kind of works anyway based on the details of the code we already have. So let's start from there. Right, so we know we're making a new story. We're rendering the same component no matter what. Now I think I need some props to pass to that component based on URL. So those props are going to be def1 atom is new story, our atom blank, and oh cool, okay, so we already have the other atom things which we would need, which is the story URL and the story title. So these atoms we're going to use if we are overwriting an existing story. This atom we're going to use to indicate to the app that we're working on something brand new. Okay, so when we navigate to new, when we start, I was a little dubious on this library when I was in the trenches with it last week, but now I think I kind of like it. Set atom is new story to be true, and when we leave the route, so these two arguments in this map here, start and stop, that means when we enter this particular URL, fire this functionality. When we leave this particular URL, fire that functionality. So when we enter this route, we set add a new story to true, and then when we leave, we set to false. So let's not get too far ahead of ourselves and see if we can do that. So let's get the REPL connected. And let's get going. Okay. So navigates to new. What is your value? Value is false, but what if I say that and then new? Your value is still false. Interesting. need to do it like this. Nope. Wrong function. Alright. Cool. Alright, let's try it like that. Oop. And much like our coding warm-up, that causes the whole operation to crash. F.call is not a function. F.call is not a function. Apply controllers. Maybe if I just go here to starts. Let's see. So that's how it works. Oh yeah, you were with me on that debugging journey last week, weren't you, Dio? That was building the route with URL, story /edits. Let's start for story builder and then stop for edit. Yeah, or at least I think so. Anyway, we'll find out if my assumption is matching up with reality. So story builder /new, you don't work whatsoever. And I got an error message last time, but this time I don't. No compilation errors. Maybe the story a little different. Okay, so that logs. Oh, interesting. Start and stop. Builder root controller. Perhaps the order of these things matters, which our patron saint Rick Chicky would refer to as complecting in the form of the ordering of things like mattering. Indeed, that was the case, because now we're getting the string entering new, and if we leave, we should get exiting. Oh. Ah, hell, now I broke the other one. Oh dear. Story builder /new. Well, am I ever not going to have /new or /edit? I guess I'm not, right? Like, it's always going to be one of those two. I'm either going to be making a brand new story, or I'm going to be editing an existing one. Edits /new, name story builder new, controllers. I don't think it was that. If we just turn this into like one big form. Oh, hello. Entering new, exiting new. And I wonder if that's because we are passing those callbacks wrong. Logging in. Edit /3. You don't work either. Curious indeed. Story builder /new. What if I like get rid of the controllers? Just say like new. Do I get anything? Man. I still get my login page, so just means that I'm not like not necessarily that I don't have like the route set up right, even though I obviously don't. It's like I haven't written code that like can be called an error, but I'm not rendering anything either. Okay. So I don't quite know what I've done, but I haven't come all that far, and I know that I had something working before introducing these atoms. So let's roll it back to here. Okay, now it works. Now what the hell did I do? Okay, start new controller, stop new controller. Okay, so what if I say like function Okay, so now we're just not like calling these print statements immediately. We are wrapping them up in a function which should be called by the start or stop controller. We should do that here too. Cool. All right. Start new controller. So now we're good. And we didn't get that log, which is even better. So we know that both are not firing. So what if I say do and reset atom is new story to be true. We've got a functional route that we can load and refresh, and our is new story atom is now true. Okay, cool. What did I do just then that was any different than what I was doing 5 minutes ago? I don't know, but now it works, so I'm happy. Atom is new story false. Save. Hit tab to format, please. Right. Cool. Starting new controller. And then if we go to like the page again, I should see that this atom is now false. MS new story should be still true. Man, really? Stop new controller. The empty string route is higher up than last time. Yeah. Yeah, maybe it had to be. Maybe it very well had to be. Val true. Kinda wish that was false. Story builder new. Start new controller. So this should still be true. Yes. What if you go to edit 3? Stop new controller. Theoretically, we should have reset atom is new story to false. Start and stop. Let's try and reset. Let's just run that real quick. You are now false. If we go to new, we can set you to true. If we go back here, you are still true. Well, read it. Read it, docs. Let's see what you got to say about this. Full documentation. We are on the front end. We are using controllers. How controllers work. A map can contain these properties. An identity function, which is that. Parameter. Oop. Start and stop functions, which are called with controller identity. Stop. Okay, when you navigate to a route that has a controller, the identity is first resolved by using the parameters declaration or by calling identity function. If neither is set, the identity is nil. Next, the controller is initialized by calling start. When you exit that route, stop is called with the last controller identity value. If you navigate to the same route with a different match, identity gets resolved again. If the identity changes from the previous value, controller is reinitialized, stop and start get called again. Same route with a different match. So that would be like item/3, item/4, that counts as 2. That counts as like a new match, and these functions get called again. You can leave out start or stop if you do not need both of them. Well, I don't know why my stop function's not going off. It's insane to me that this printline function or this do block would be causing the problem, but absent a better explanation, I think that's what I have to try next. New. Starting new controller, that means that this atom, which is probably already true, is now false. Oh dear. Start new controller. Okay, what's your value now, buddy? Val false. /new. Start new controller. What is your value now? Still false. Man, we're having a red letter day here, folks. Atom is new story. I am indeed looking at the correct atom value. And if we go to like edit 3, what do we see there? We see what? Still false? Well, technically it should be false. But the problem is that when we go back to new, it's still false. Alright, we've loaded you up fresh. What's your value? Still false. Let's see. I think most of programming is learning the library you're using. Yes, yes, indeed. Most of it is indeed learning. Learning is uncomfortable in the best of times. Controllers. But I've never had the experience of learning being both uncomfortable and not worth it, so I think we'll be okay. Params. Maybe it would help me if I knew what these parameters were. That's super relevant to this route specifically. Nil params. Oh, learning is tremendously uncomfortable, let me tell you. Not the bolt video. Giant nut and bolt. Man, there's a great monologue towards the end of this about, let me see if I can find the timestamp. Probably gotta get taken off of Twitch if I actually play the video. Yeah, I think it's this. Share at the timestamp. It's got a great line about learning anything being like a process of like walking through a valley. In the middle of the valley, it's like this humbling, like ego destroying thing. But you just gotta kind of like keep walking through the valley and get to the other side, and eventually you emerge with like a new skill. Really, really nice. It's a great channel, by the way. Adam Savage is tested. If you liked Mythbusters, you will love that channel. Boy, you know, I feel like I'm going insane here. So now it's true. Now it's still true. Like, how am I getting the print statement, but I'm not having the atom reset? Like, I'm definitely using this function right? Like, if I call that in the REPL and then inspect it, the value is false. If I call this in the REPL and then inspect it, the value is true. So, like, yeah, man, I'm calling the function itself right. What could possibly be wrong about this? This is equally insane, but what if I put the print line after the atom reset? Now I say story builder new, start new controller. Value's true. Back to the root route. Stop new controller, so that print line went off. Value's still true. I don't know if this is how it works with closure in general. Start new controller, no. False. Is the REPL somehow out of sync with what the state of the app is? Because now what I just tried. Oh, hold on. Maybe I've got some kind of like funky like race condition going on here. Atom value. Okay, story builder / new. Atom value is true. Go back. Atom value is false. So something else in here is like setting the value of this atom on me. Or is it? Is this like Schrodinger's cat? If I look at it, if I print line it, the value's different. Now it's working. Okay, I'm leaving that print line in there. It's the magical thing. No, it would have called the update. It would have reset. Try using swap. Yeah. Swap. Here's my favorite thing in functional programming, a function that does nothing but return true. Swap. A Boolean is not a function. I'll not have you telling me what is or isn't a function, sir. I think a Boolean is a fine function. Okay. New route. The atom value is true. Back. Atom value is false. False. New. True. Okay, I'm leaving it like that. I don't know what else to mess with it, but there's a concurrency issue swap. Oh yeah, you were telling me about this first or second day you showed up in the stream where I'm using reset, and that's like got some kind of implication for like concurrency. So yeah, maybe I should get into the habit of using swap more. Maybe that what was going on. I don't know, but anyway, we can set a state variable when our route changes. Okay. Don't think I want this. I do think I want to keep this magical print line statement because that finally made it work. Now we're going to move on. Okay. Oh, I need that. Cool. Okay, so we know when the story is new, and when the story is new, we're going to pass that down to our page. Is new story in our page, which is this thing here. We destructure that, and we pass it to our save story UI, save story, story save. Where are you rendered? Because you need this atom. Which means I pass it here, down main comments, main content. I pass it here. Cool. All right. Needs a key name. All right. So now this button knows when we have a new story, and that means that we can save story, save, story. Okay. Story save UI. Okay, so now you need this. Okay. So, how about we define a new backend route for when it's a new story? Post save story. Yeah, save story new? Yeah, sure. Handler, get response, story URL. Okay. So now off to the backend. Save story new, which kind of implies that we also need a save story not new handler. So save story existing. Okay. Save story existing. Save story new. This is in handlers. Alright, so save story, what is this? If not nil, insert story. Right, so this is all good. We basically wrote this functionality already, so we can leave that as is. Right, so we send the username, the name of the story, the blocks. We make a URL, we save that all in the database, and then we send it back to the front end. Okay, so now the first time you save a story, we should go from new to edit/story URL. So yeah, do we send like a redirect from the back end, or do we send a response back and then handle the redirect on the front end? I feel like I could do it from the back end, but I feel like it's less risky to do it from the front end. So let's do that here. Handler. Okay, so we change the URL to whatever the URL from the back end was. We show the save success toast, and we also redirect with reedit. Alright. Front end browser, front end basics. Adam Savage day builds on the learning process. And I should grab the timestamp for that. Oh, come on, son. Not gonna let me copy that from my own chat? Sure. Timestamp, copy. There we go. Okay, cool. Right, we are reading about redirecting. HTML5, RFH, easy. I think this is just as simple as setting the window location, but let's make sure there's not something in here that tells me otherwise. Okay. So yeah, we've got the store URL, and then we window, JS window, we set JS window dot dash location, dash dot dash. What is this? JS window dot dash location dash dot location. What is the window right now? Maybe we need to like dot dash location on the window. There we go. Cool. Now we set the dot dash location on the window to our story URL. Reset the story URL to that response and then redirect to the new route. Yes. Cool. So I think that's it. Let's go test it. Let's delete the code that will break the web page. There we go. Alright, story name, some demo which I'll delete soon. Save story, so now we should see it change from new to whatever the database gives us. It didn't do that. File / new. I didn't not load that into the REPL 7071. I made the handler, I made the rep, but I didn't get it into our app. So it's fortunately pretty quick. Now we try it again. Save story. Thoughtful Kakapo, but we didn't give it exactly what it needed. It's going to be redirects. Slash story builder slash slash edit slash ID slash edit slash yes. There we go. We call string on that to concatenate it, and now I think we've got something that works. Yo, another test. Save story. Save story / new. Story builder new, save story. There we go. Cool. Now we got it. Story builder. Oop. Story builder. Edit. Clever kangaroo. I'm kind of doing that thing that Jiffy does, if you're familiar with that. URL pieces. I've got a bunch of adjectives, like adaptable. I've got a bunch of animals, falcon. So the URL for your save story is just a random combination of an adjective and an animal, which I think is a decent way to not only create a memorable URL that's easy to remember, but also a good way to build a URL with pieces you control and that you know are going to be like kind of safe safe URLs that no one can use for devious purposes. So cool. Yeah, now we got the next piece of the puzzle we need to work on. Edit clever kangaroo. All right. It's like Kakapo, looked it up. It's like this camouflage parrot owl that was for 95 years. Oh, yeah. More YouTube. Shagged by a rare parrot. This is copy link location. This is a Kakapo that's doing impolite things to the back of a cameraman's head. You're being shagged by a rare parrot. It's Stephen Fry making a Stephen Fry quip as only Stephen Fry can. Okay, that's a funny video. You should watch that one too. Cool. So now we go back to our router. Yeah, here we go. Get you some, you weird parrot. Do your weird parrot things. All right. Yeah. So did all those other? Yeah. Cool. Okay. So we've already got this thing, which can see when we land on that route. I'll say, hey, parameters path ID. And now, Atom Story URL. I think this is the place where we start to play with some more states. Okay, so swap, not reset. Atom Story URL. Yeah, so we're doing a couple things. We're saying the URL. Function URL. If the not equals URL. Okay, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves here. Let's see. Let's matched story ID, parameters path ID. Okay, so now I got this nice variable. Okay, then we swap the story URL with this. When the URL does not match the thing we just navigated to, then we return the URL. Wait. Return the matched story ID, or we return the URL. Okay. So I think the function we just wrote is we have this atom called story URL up here. We say, okay, when you land on this route, if the value of the atom that's in there already, URL, does not match the route we just landed, reset that story URL to the one we just matched, otherwise keep it the same. So let's see if that's what happens. Clever kangaroo. Atom story URL. Value is clever kangaroo. Alright, so if I say like clever kakapo, we should have clever kakapo in that atom, but we don't. Clever kakapo. Okay. So we are nervous. Def test 1, URL, def test 2, matched story ID. Inline diff, yeah, it's not a problem. I want it. if it's going to break my code though. Oh, she's an ugly app. She's an ugly app. Alright, so this should be theoretically hello. But then I want to go to a new URL and have a new value in that atom, so I'll say goodbye. This will hopefully be goodbye. Yes, it will. Alright. Good enough for me. It worked once. And I hope it continues to work. Alright. So when we start, we change that matched URL. Do we need to... Oh, that might be part of the issue, right? I've got one too many parens. Goodbye. What's your value? It's goodbye. Hello. Your value is hello. Alright. We're all good. And stop. Theoretically, I want to reset that to be something it's not. But I could be going from like one matched URL under the edit route to another, so maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe it's okay just to leave it in there. Alright. So I think I want to do two things. I want to swap that, and I also want to say swap Adam is new story to be false. Which theoretically isn't like strictly necessary, but in the event I've got some code. Man, freaking me out, Reddit. Why is that true? Oh no, it should be true. I navigated to route new. So now if I go to edit cacompose, story URL is cacompose, new story is false. Okay, that's correct. That's what we want. Cool. Okay. Yeah, so now we've got the story URL and the fact that the story is not new to send to our save story UI. So let's pass it on down. Alright. Story URL, I've already passed you here. Save story UI. Story save UI. I've already passed it to this component, so that's great. Alright. So now we need to choose whether to send it here when we save or to send it to a different post handler. Alright. And I think there's some really cool stuff I could do with like multi-methods and functions and stuff. But I think I'm running out of time and I think I don't know how to do any of that, so I'm not going to do that. So, story name, blocks, story URL. Yeah, maybe I'll just change this URL, then I probably want to change the handler too, so yeah, we'll say this like, call this like save new story, save existing story. It hurts my programmer soul to do this right now, but man, I've got time. I gotta get something out here, man. I got to get something out, and if getting something ugly out is the best I can do, then that's the best I can do. Yeah, what's up with these weird formatting things I got going on? Yeah, I don't really want it all the way over there. But CLJ Condo wants it so. You know how you select all of it manually? There's a key binding to auto select the whole form. Oh, yeah, yeah. It used to be Control W, but I think they changed it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think that's something I'm generally aware of, but I'm always forgetting to use. Yeah, Mac, I'm using Control W, which will select like inside the form, outside the form, inside the form, outside the form, which is really sweet. Yeah, but you have to remember to use that if you want to use it. So I forget to use it, so I don't. But yeah, that's a good tip. I should use that more. Save existing. All right, the handler for this is gonna be save story existing. Is that what I called the route? Um, Save story slash existing. Yep. Okay. That's going to be username, the title, the URL, and the blocks, and then we're going to have a different handler. So, do I even need that? Yeah, I guess I just need to tell him the save worked, right? Yeah, so I don't need to select this thing like a caveman. I can use my tools. Don't need to reset the URL. Don't need to set the window location. But I do need to tell them that the save is a success. Cool. And now I think we're good. Except for my extra parens. I think there's also a key binding for like deleting pairs of parens as well. Like not deleting one and then finding and deleting the other, but like deleting them both at the same time. That's a story for another time. Oh god, I can barely bring myself to do this. If Adam is new story, true. Save new story, save existing story. Okay. Couple of new lines for readability. We do have time for that. Okay, save new story, save existing story. All right. So now we can call that save existing story function. Let's see if we can send a request from the front end. Network. You're editing Kakapose. Hello, goodbye. Save story. We should see the correct request here. We posted to the correct URL, which means we can now go back to the backend and implement that handler. Which means we can now call this save new story, save existing story. All right. I'll save that. All right. Save new story, save existing story. Get rid of that. Okay, so what do we have to do here? We have to go to the database, find that existing story. If there is an existing story, we overwrite it with the new value. Yep, easy enough. So we're getting all the same stuff: username, story name, blocks, and story URL. Right, first step, look in the database for the story. We're gonna find some MC any, find maps, remove by ID. I think we've got another trip to the Mongo documentation ahead of us. Okay, API reference. Actually guides. Updating documents. Alright. This is the most commonly used way of updating documents. It takes a database, a collection name, a query, a condition, an updated document, and a number of options. Most commonly used of which is multi. When multi is true, instructs MongoDB to update multiple documents that match the query. So we don't want multi be true. Okay, Mongo core updates. Right, okay, so here's something we actually need to know. Yeah, definitely the best way to handle this would be with the, like with the object ID. So if you look in here, stories, I could use any MongoDB document really, but we'll choose this one. They've all got these things called object IDs, which are like unique hashes that act as unique identifiers within the database. So I think the best thing to have would be the ID before we go updating this thing. So question now becomes, do I want to send that along with the request? Yeah, I've already got the name. So I've got like the story name. So I could use the story name. Yeah, I'd always start with the story name. This is something I'm probably going to want to change if and when this thing takes off, but I think for now it's going to be good enough just to get something working right. Okay. MC updates. Story URL. Yeah, I think I want something in here just to make sure that you're not trying to like save a story with an existing name already. So I'll make a note to myself. Note check for that story name under that username before saving. Can't have multiple stories with same name. Where's that lady crossing her hands? There we go. Cool. We'll implement that later. For now, we just need to get something working, right? Get something out there. Okay, save existing story. Okay, so now we head back here, MC updates, insert story. Maybe we write a function called update story, define update story map. We'll return a future, which will in turn call MC updates database stories story name. It's going to be story name in the story map. That will form the query. Multi, definitely false. Stores, not stores, but stories. Okay. I think I just send in the whole story map, right? Okay. Yeah, cool. That looks mostly right. Don't really need the URL, but we may as well send something along anyway. Now we can test this. Alright, def temp rec. It's going to be maybe that one we were looking at before. Maybe I'll just send something through that's going to be a little closer to reality, right? Like, instead of inventing my own update, def temp rec It's going to be rec. Alright. Here, well, actually, just comment this out real quick. If true, we'll send that. Alright, back to the UI. So, save story, this will be an existing story. Did we actually post anything? Oh, actually, hold on, let's make a new story. Let's see. Test part 2, the sequel. Save story. Alright, we made a new one. Story name is Brave Kieshond. I'll have to look that up. Now we're going to say save story, which is existing, and now we should have that rec list in this object. But we don't, because we didn't reload our core. Alright, save story. Temp rec, what are you? Okay. There's our object. Now let's try calling our handler with that object. So if we say save existing story with the temp rec, update. Load that into the REPL, run this function, save us a success. Now 40 documents. I think the one I'm looking for is probably at the bottom. Alright, test part 2, the sequel. Alright. See if we can update that text and save it now. Alright, toggle content editing, add texts. This will all look a lot better soon. No, really, guys. Save story. Alright, we got the response from the server. Now if we refresh this, go back and reopen it. Not different. Yeah, looks like we made a new document, right? So we've got 3 in here with the same story name. So, right. A little bit of work to do. Okay, update story. What's going on with you? See, update stories. The story name from the story map. Okay, test rep. Story name. Story name. Username. Something that occurs to me is that 2 users might have the same story name, so it should really be like story name and story URL, or username from the story map. Okay, so go in, find these 2 things, replace it with that. Yeah, so if we say like def story map, I think I want to just like delete everything in here. Can I do that? Drop collection. Gladly. Okay, so now it's empty. We can start with the fresh slate. Save story. refresh. Oh dear. Yeah, maybe if I close this and open it again. Refresh. Oh, no stories to speak of, eh? Ah, it's because I was on edit, right? New. Test part 2 of the sequel, safe story. Alright, we have an artistic Kiwi. Refresh. We've got stories with one documents. Okay, much easier to work with. Alright, update story. So the username should be Alice. The story name should be test part 2, the sequel. Stuff should be happening. Alright, load this into the REPL. Run this function with our silly story map. Making sure that the most recent version of the function is in fact in the REPL. Run the function. We get a right result, which means we updated one document. Now if we refresh, look at that document again, we see we did in fact change it. Did insert a new one. I think we're good, right? Alright. So let's try this for real from the UI. Load her up. Load her up one more time. Alright, now we go here. Okay. Test part 3 happening. We'll save the story. It is a patient fish. We'll add text over here. It says, "Yeesh, what a wreck of a modal." And then we'll save the story again. We'll refresh. We should have one more document in here, which we do. Ah, nice. Alright, let's try that. Let's try that one more time, but I think we got it, right? Gotta change the z-index of the modal, yep. Yeah, I'm using grid for this, which I think is kind of goofing me up. So I think a z-index in grid is like a little bit different than z-index for a absolutely positioned modal element. Test part 4 electric boogaloo. Alright, save story. Let's just go into the database to make sure that we do in fact create one. Yep. Now instead of that we can add an image. We'll use oh dear. Oh good God in heaven. Add photo layout. Okay. Save the story one more time. I think that's an old version of that file. Refresh, go in. Cool. Yep, now we got the image in there. Cool. Alright. So we can save a story, we can add a story. That's it. That's it for that. We got it working. Yeah, nice. Alright. Very good, very good. 4:05. We got 55 minutes in this venture. We've come quite far, honestly. It's a subtle bit of functionality, but a very important one. One that people just expect to kind of work. So, yeah, now it kind of works, and I'm kind of excited. Very good, very good. Okay, where can we move from here? We can create a new story. We can update an existing story. We know the difference between the two when we hit the save button. What else do I need, man? I need, Delete story. Ah, okay. So we've got this thing hard coded right now with delete story. What is this? On click, send a delete request to that story with that object ID. Okay. So I think getting to a place where we can delete a story from the UI is going to be great. And I think I need to take just a little break here, get some water and stuff like that. So anyway, I'm gonna take a quick 5 minute break, guys. I'll be back around like 4:10. So if you wanna get up, have a sandwich, stretch your legs, something like that. Avail yourself of whatever break taking means that you have available to you, and I will see you in just 5 minutes. So anyway, see you soon. All right, everybody, back, back in action. All right, so we got about call it 15 minutes left on the clock. I think delete story is going to be the thing. Oop, not style editing, not content editing, but delete story. I think that's going to be where we end up for the day. I was mentioning before about MongoDB object IDs, and it's definitely the better way to like handle this stuff because that's like an assertion I can make against a document that's definitely going to be unique every single time. But I'm kind of working from a basis of like a URL and a username for determining uniqueness. So I think that's what I gotta stick with. Unless I want to start sending like object IDs back and saving them in state, which is totally something I can do. Handlers, save success, username, story name blocks. And send the story URL, I may as well send the story ID too. Better long-term strategy for sure, but if my goal is to just release an imperfect thing, then I think username and story name is going to be the thing to use. And if indeed I get to the point where this thing is out there and doing something, then yeah, sure, I can change it after the fact. That's easy enough. I'm not so far gone that I can't get back from that. Okay. Yeah, so we're gonna delete. We'll change this from like story slash username slash story name. So that's the request we're gonna send. Adam user edit UI. All right, so we need to thread some props through to this boy. Edit UI. Okay. So we need the URL and the username. Okay. Adam username. May as well just pass down the whole user info Adam. May as well call it Adam user info, right? But anyway, more things that we can fix later. This is cool. Okay. So the edit UI, where'd you go? Edit UI, where are you? There we go. Okay. Keys. Man, this hat stinks. That just graduated from my everyday hat to my only running hat. So it's just a little too smelly to have in my head right now. Adam user info. And story URL. Cool, so one little let block. Let's username. So it's going to be Adam user info. Pretty sure it's like a username key in there. Username. Okay. I think we're saving that as a string because that's how it comes back from the API right now. Get username from the user info. And then the URL is going to be just the dereferencing of that Adam. All right, cool. So now instead of sending to delete story object ID, we say username slash story URL. Cool. And now we see if we can get it to send response at all. Okay. Or request. Request to the right URL. Alright, network. Delete story. Slash story slash. Oh, need another slash in here. Someone's rocking some tunes right now. No username. Interesting. What is user info right now? It's got a nil username. So what if I go? Wait. Definitely need to know what our story name is. Artistic Fish. Alright, we're gonna go back here real quick. We're gonna log in Zalus. Edit Artistic Fish. Alright, so if we click delete story now, we should get the right stuff. Slash story slash Alice slash artistic fish. Cool. Okay. Yeah, so now we head on back to the API. And we do a little rec. Do a little bit of refactoring of that. So that's gonna be well, actually I think I need to know what that came out as. Story slash story ID. Oh, so I need to change the route too. Delete verb slash story slash username slash story URL. Alright, so there it is in our routes. Now send that request one more time from the front end. We'll see what temporec was. Alright, yep, so we got the username, we got the story URL. That's good. Username is going to be that. The story URL is going to be get in rec out params. Not user nom, but username, story URL. We're calling this remove by ID function, but really we need something else. Deleting documents. MC remove. Remove multiple documents. Just removing a single document by ID. Yeah, looks like it's just as easy as that, huh? MC remove. To that we'll pass username, story URL, story URL. Yeah, it should be good, right? Temporec. Let's refresh. Let's try calling that delete story with our temporec. So we should have 2 documents. We have 3. Legal argument exception object ID. Ah, right. I rewrote this function, but I did not load it into the REPL. So now if I say temporec, story deletion unsuccessful. Was it really unsuccessful, or did I just send an error message that was wrong? Username Alice, story URL, autistic fish, artistic fish. Yeah, really? What's wrong with that? Def username Alice def. Maybe the URL is like the whole thing. No, just the in part. Def story URL. It's gonna be that. Load these two into the REPL. And if we call MC remove with all that stuff, what do we get? Right results, number of 0. I feel like that should have been 1. Username is Alice. The story URL is artistic fish. Aggressive fang tooth. Artistic kakapo. Wonder if we already deleted artistic fish. So now what happens if we call this MC remove with our new details? Right result is 1. Okay, so that works. Yeah, so what? I guess I was trying to delete a story that wasn't in there, even though I thought it was. So this technically works. Yeah, let's give it a shot, just from start to finish. Oh, get rid of that. A little white space. Put that into the REPL. Close this core, reload this file, and yeah, let's go through the whole process of creating a new story, editing it, and then deleting it. I think that's a good place to get. Alright, story builder new. I think I like the idea of just deleting this whole collection of stories. Refresh, all gone. Okay. Test story 3. What are we up to? 5, 4, 5. Test story 4. Alright, let's take the story. We have a sociable king cobra. This is borne out in the database as well. Very good. Test story 4. Alright. Let's add some contents. New text, oh boy. Save that story. Story save success. New text, oh boy, very good. Now let's try to delete it. Delete our no longer hard-coded story. Refresh, it's still there. So what's your deal, man? What did we actually... We closed it. I don't know what we closed. Sociable King Cobra, delete story. I got a 502, bad gateway. Delete story, Alice, Sociable King Cobra. 502, bad gateway. So the break in the chain is here. Story, username, story URL. 502, bad gateway. Actually, no, it's not. It's not a break in the chain because we logged. So we got as far as the handler. But we sent our 502 handler. Yep, 502. Oh. Interesting. Yeah, that was why I couldn't delete it from before, because I'm sending back a story URL, which is incorrect. It is not a relaxed fangtooth. It is a sociable king cobra. So what's the deal there? I presume it was relaxed fangtooth this whole time, so that is a problem with save story. Save new story. The story URL. You know what yeah, save existing story. Copying and pasting code, not even once. Yeah, I made a new name when I saved the existing story. Or that's my theory anyway. Okay, so if we drop this collection one more time, we refresh. See, it's not there. New. Okay. So, save story. This works. Patient krill. Oh. Let's verify that this is definitely what we actually wrote to the database. Patient krill. Alright. Update story. Add texts. Krills are known for their patience. Save story. Refresh. Still there. But it's a helpful fox terrier. Okay, that's because I once more made a change to the code, but it not loaded into the REPL. Okay. Let's just hack this a little bit. Helpful fox terrier. Alright, so now if I delete the story, I think this should go through, right? Yep. We deleted it, it's gone. Alright, so let's go through that flow one more time. Let's make sure we're not totally crazy. We've got a thoughtful kinkajou. What's a kinkajou? We will save it. Ah, man. It's because we're blowing the document away. We're blowing the document away. Let me save existing story. Which means we shouldn't blow it away. We should instead set new fields. Username, story name, story blocks. All right. MC updates. Yeah, so I look it up by the story name and the username, but what I update is the blocks. So what I can say is like, how do I use this? I'm not even using it once. Update story. I think I need a little refresh on how set works. Updating documents. Using the set operator. Set, right. Set the, what am I calling these? The blocks. Refresh, open. Yeah, set the blocks to, set the blocks to the blocks from the story map, I think. Yep. Yep, cool. Don't need that. Okay, once more around the sun. One more time. Back to the new route. Make a new story. It's going to be called Test Story 5. I'm going to save the story. We have an artistic fossa. Going here. Check. And we got 2. Now we add some more text. Fossa sounds like fossil. We save the story once more, and hopefully it makes it in there. Test Story 5, artistic fossa. Now we delete it, and it's gone. Very good. Oh, hold on. Yep, 1 document. Okay, cool. Now we got it. Excellent. Yeah. So we got our whole CRUD story figured out, right? We got the database. We can create a new one. We can go in there and we can edit one that we have created, and we can delete. But one thing I did notice is that when we go to new, our state for the blocks is going to be the same. So I think what I should do is go back into the router and reset that state when we hit that route. Yeah, add blocks. Do I have like an initial thing, like a seed states? Yeah, that's what it was. State slug builder. It's worth it to bring that up 1 level. State slug builder. Yeah, I'll bring it up 1 level. This is just a module. This is not an atom, so I can just oh wait, hold on. Am I creating a circular dependency by doing that? I might be. Def state reset. All right, cool. So now we can just set this block, set this piece of state to be that value when we go to the new route. Present data reset. Add blocks to states. Blank blocks. Keep that in there. Right, so now if I go to new, it should blow it all away, right? Hey. But now if I go to edit artistic fossa, we don't get anything. So yeah, maybe like hidden that route should request something from the database. It should request that object from the database when we hit that route. Yeah. Okay. Edit ID. Okay, so we're not only changing the story URL, we're changing the story to false, but we should also fetch that story from the URL. All of a sudden lost my voice. Nope, we're all good. Drink of water, we're all good. Okay. I already have this route. Am I using it on the front end? Gets fetch story. Wait, hold on. That's, yeah. This is technically the front end workspace, but I opened the back end file in the front end workspace. Right, so I do technically have a route for this, but this is for building like the static pages. So if we go to like fetch story, and handlers fetch story, yeah, this will fetch the story from the database and render it. Fetch Story. I could definitely repurpose this for like just getting the document from the database, and then depending on the route I hit, I will either render the static markup for the story, or I will send it back to the front end to hydrate the state. So, render story, story doc, fetch story doc. Perhaps easier just to write a new route. Yeah, so we can say like get get E. Alright, so that's like not really fetch story. That's what we call this? Fetch static story render. Or maybe render static story. And we'll also have another function which is like fetch story states, fetch story states. Yeah, sure, why not? Cool, so we got one function to rename, one function to write. Okay. So now this is render static story. Cool, and now we have define fetch story state, which has request. And what this can be is just all of that. But I respond with the story doc directly. Right. That's everything that the story has, minus the ID. Yep, okay, cool. So, fingers crossed, I think that's just about all I need to make that work. Now we go back to the front end, and when we navigate to that story under that story URL, it should be really called, but I think it's okay if I just leave that for now. Gets, yeah. Cool. All right. Local API /e / username / this is going to be the ID. Match story ID. Cool, yep. We need to call string on this to join them together. Right. Alright, so this is like Adam user info. Get in the user info the username. I'll put that up there. Okay. Alright, so we're going to get that, and when we get it back, we're going to reset the blocks to whatever came back in that response, I believe. Handlers fetch story state. It's going to respond back with the story doc. Fetch story doc gives us the first one. Right, so we need to grab the blocks from that response and then give it back. Right. First things first, let's see if we can just like log something when it comes back. 500 internal server error. I think that's probably because I deleted that story. Test 455. All right. /E. Oh, Alice got logged out again, didn't she? I need to figure out. Edit cheerful flamingo. All right. And the response comes back with blocks. Awesome. So now... So we're going to hit this route, but... is it okay to... Yeah, maybe Clojure is smart enough to see that I'm, like, rewriting the state, which with what was just in there already. So maybe I don't need to worry about, like, blowing away the state with the response from the API. It's like what we're going to be on is, like, you know, story builder /new. We're going to hit save, and then we're going to go immediately to this route, edit /cheerful flamingo. So whatever the user, like, added or edited in terms of, like, blocks and content and style, that's already going to be, like, in the UI. But the second we go to this route, this controller is going to go off because it's going to have matched that route. And it's going to perform a get operation. And it's going to get, like, the document we just saved, in a sense. So I could write some code which will say, like, okay, if we went directly to new from edit, like if we're saving the first time, then you don't need to do that request. But I think it's okay because, like, the instant they save it, they're going to save it in the back end. That document's going to come back, and what they get back from the back end is just going to be, like, what's in the state anyway, if that makes sense. So I think Clojure is smart enough, Clojure script is smart enough to see that and say, like, hey, you gave me the same object, like, what the hell, man? These things are equal in terms of, like, what's inside them, so I'm not going to re-render. So I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters. Doesn't matter. Okay. So, res. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to get that block from the res. Be nice to have that reference up. Okay, so it's going to be JSON. That's going to be blocks. So it's going to be swap atom blocks. Okay, and that's going to be get blocks from the response. I think that's all I need. Except, of course, if I wrote some code, which makes this go crazy. Under templates. Okay, so I think I didn't get from that response what I thought I did. So maybe I'll comment this out first. Maybe I'll just try to print whatever I got back. Yeah, get in that response the key called blocks. All right. So let's refresh. Let's see what we printed. that sure seems to be what I need to do. What have I called? Reset. Atom blocks. Let's get res blocks. Curious. Block window pane. So I was complaining that it doesn't know what the... It doesn't know the... Right, it doesn't know... But I thought window pane... Okay, so now I've got an issue where I've got JSON, but really, like if you look here, we saved it as JSON, so this block is like string window pane, but when we're in like purely front-end code, or maybe better stated, when we created this object in the first place, we did it on the basis of like keywords. So we sent it as a keyword, which got translated into a string when we tried to save that JSON document. Now it's coming back to us as a string, so I think we need to pass it through some kind of function where can see that string and make it a keyword. Let me see if that's actually true. So Atom, what is Atom blocks right now? Yeah, block keyword window pane. So is there a function to go from like JSON to closure? A closure object? I think there probably is, but like, yeah, the other problem is like somewhere along the way. That keyword got translated into a string, and I'm gonna just guess that whatever kind of JSON reading utilities I have available to me is not gonna be smart enough to see a string and say like, oh, that guy actually meant to have a keyword there. I think that's not in the cards for me right now. So I think oh, that's tricky. That's a tricky thing. I think I need to write this to the database and preserve that information, because I can't be like writing this as a string, because otherwise I'm gonna write a bunch of really insane code that's like seeing strings and transforming them into keywords. Yeah, same thing here, right? Like all these numbers were keywords from before. Like that was keyword 1, keyword 0, keyword 1, keyword 2. Man, so yeah, now I need to take a look at this Ajax library I'm working with. Okay, so the body is the form data. I think there's like an option here for sending data in a certain format, like send it in JSON, like as a true and proper JSON string, or I think I can send it as EDN format. Specify the format for the body of the request. Can I send this as EDN params? The parameters that will be sent with the request, format dependent. Transit and EDN can send anything. Excuse me. JSON text and around need to be given a map. Transit. There are 4 formats currently supported for communicating with the server. Transit, JSON, text, and raw. Handling responses on the server. Using transit, take a look at ring transit. What is a transit request, I wonder? Could be something worth knowing about. Transit requests and responses. Transit formats. Transit is a format and a set of libraries for conveying values between applications written in different programming languages. So, I think this is not super relevant for what I'm doing because I'm sending and receiving messages from one Clojure app to another. So ring transit, not important. For entering JSON requests, use ring JSON middleware instead. This populates data in the body tag. However, note that does not provide protection against JSON hijacking. For using Eden, you may wish to take a look at the ring Eden middleware. Cool. Yeah, ring Eden. Coming to the end of the stream. I wonder. I can add dependency, at the very least. Add dependency, test it in the REPL, and then yeah, I think I'll actually implement this tomorrow morning. So let's see what's going on. Core CLJ. Wrap JSON response, wrap JSON body. Probably gonna have problems with that. So JSON, ring middleware, JSON. Ring Eden. So what do I require it? Dependencies. Ring.middleware.eden. Refer. I don't even know what I would refer. Refer. Wrap Eden. Maybe. Let's find out. Okay. So restart the server to get our new dependencies. That was not the thing to reference it by, so let's try to start one more time. Try to start one more time. Alright, we're connecting to our databases. Although we've still done a bad require. Cannot locate this thing on the class path. Yep, I definitely didn't copy that in. we go, one more time. Alright, downloading the thing, that's a good sign. Must be nicer than working with JSON, because I don't have to worry about sending or receiving in different formats. Yeah, that'd be a big boon, actually. I can just worry about sending Eden and receiving Eden. EDN, it's probably called. In namespace, ring that middleware, that's EDN. Let's go there, please. There we go. Oh, hello, nope, nope, nope. In namespace, ring that's middleware. Class 9 found exception. What? Wrap Eden params. What happens if I call this wrap Eden? Wraps that with that. Gives us a function. Wrap. Yep, cool. Alright, so could be a ride we're going on. These two things I can only imagine, these three things I can only imagine will conflict with each other, but I wonder. No story found, of course. Using custom types. Yeah, you know what, I think I'll call it there for a day. Leave myself a note. Notes. Wrap JSON and wrap Eden. I'll probably, definitely conflict with each other. Refactor accordingly. Cool. Okay. Yeah. So let's just like wrap it up, and yeah, let's see what we got. What we got done. We can now. Let's see. What can we do? We can create a new story. Save a brand new story in the database. We could do all this from a code perspective for a while, but now we can do the following from the app UI itself. Create a brand new story, save a brand new story in the database, get that new story randomly generated URL, pass it back to the front end, and redirect to a new URL based on that URL, all of which enables the user to hit save once more on the same screen and edit that new story instead. of creating a brand new story. Delete existing story from the database. Crud finessing indeed. Cool. Yeah, that's what we did, right? Create a new brand new story, save it in the database, get a URL, send it back, reroute to a new URL, edit that story, hit save again, have it edit the new story, and now we can also delete. So yeah, cool. Yeah, for next time, let's see. Fix our EDN related data woes for hydrating app state from a saved story in the database. Maybe list? Yeah, I think this is the next thing on our CRUD adventures. Much though I would like to start changing the front end of the app to actually look like what it's going to look like. But before we do that, we should list out saved stories. So user can navigate to a saved story via the UI and view, edit it. Boy, I think that's it, right? Like, we've got this page, which is a beast of a page already. Oh hell, can I not even? What's going on? Just want to enter my handle user info success in what file? Core. Maybe I'll just restart this. But I should also get rid of that get request because it doesn't work yet. Alright, just a quick run through what we got done so far, and then we will stop the stream from there. Configuring build, hopefully finishing build soon. In the meanwhile, get it here, we can say edit story builder /new. Alright, cool. So from the UI, we can create a story, we can edit the content, we can add the style, we can upload photos, we can view uploaded photos, we can give it a name and we can save it. We can go in there, we can edit what we have saved. But the final missing piece, I think, for the whole CRUD story is for the user to have a place where they can go to, like, view the stories they've created. So, of course, we've been able to do this in the database, in the code for a while, but anyway, I think a simple page, kind of similar to view uploaded photos, which isn't working because I don't think I'm technically logged in. But anyway, if we were to click that button, we'd see a list of like photos the user has uploaded. We'd be able to like see those and select one. Similar thing would be to go into the database, find all the stories that a user has created, probably sorted in order of like, newest to oldest, and then from there they'd be able to click one and bring it to the edit page where they'd be able to like actually edit it. So yeah, I think that is going to be pretty much it. From the CRUD perspective, we'll be able to create, read, update, and delete everything from the UI. And that's great. After that, we can work on making this look a little nicer. We can integrate some payments in Stripe for people who want to create a lot of stories and who use the tool a lot. I'm thinking like maybe 5 free stories. And then after that, you have to pay for an account. Yeah, so all very cool stuff, guys. But yeah, we will call it good for now, and yeah, catch you tomorrow at 2 o'clock Eastern Time for more code warm-ups and start a product building. So thanks for joining. We'll see you later.